All right, so let's just let's dive in. We have a stack of sources today that feels like, well, a really strange pairing.
It does. It's an odd couple for sure.
On one hand, you have the world of boarding schools. And when you think about that, what comes to your mind?
Well, usually you think of, rules, bells, uniforms, that whole relentless march towards exams in university.
Exactly. It's very structured, very grounded. But then on the other side of the equation, we've got Neil deGrasse Tyson.
The astrophysicist, the guy thinking about black holes in the universe.
Right. One is about containment, the other is about the infinite.
It seems like a total mismatch.
But that's where this gets so interesting. We're digging into this source, what a boarder can learn from Neil deGrasse Tyson. And the premise is actually, it's incredible.
It really is.
It suggests that if you take the mindset of an astrophysicist, specifically Tyson's whole approach, and you apply it to the daily life of a boarding student, it completely changes the game.
It stops being about survival.
Yes. And starts being about something so much bigger. I think the mission of this deep dive, really, is to explore that shift.
Yeah, how to get a student's experience to move from this high-pressure race, where the only goal is grades, into a real exploration.
And the key isn't a better study schedule or anything like that.
No, the source argues it's something much more primal.
Curiosity. That's the word that just keeps coming up.
It is. But to get there, we have to acknowledge the reality of the environment first. A boarding school is a place of learning, but that learning can get hijacked.
Hijacked by tests, reports, university applications.
Yeah.
All that pressure, it creates tunnel vision.
Exactly. It just becomes a checklist. And when education is a checklist, you're just jumping through hoops. Is this on the test?
Right. Do I need to know this?
And this source argues that real learning starts when you stop checking boxes and just get curious. And it uses Neil deGrasse Tyson's own origin story as, well, the perfect example.
I love this story. Tyson didn't become a scientist because a teacher said, Neil, you have to do this or you'll fail.
No, it wasn't about obligation at all.
He looked up, he went to the Hayden Planetarium, saw the night sky, and he was just fascinated. He wanted to understand it.
And that distinction is everything. It's the difference between I have to study this,
which is so heavy, it's a burden.
Right, and I want to understand this.
Which gives you energy, it's propellant.
And the source points out that this shift in your internal monologue, it changes how you approach absolutely everything.
But here's the part that I think is so important for anyone listening who's thinking, well, I'm not a genius astrophysicist.
Yeah, this doesn't apply to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The source makes it so clear. Curiosity is the great equalizer. You don't have to be top of the class to be curious.
Not at all. It's available to everyone. It's not a limited resource. You just have to, decide to turn it on.
So let's bring this down to the boarding house. It's a Tuesday afternoon. You're exhausted. What does this Tyson mindset actually look like in practice?
Well, the source gives a few examples. It's asking questions in class. Not just for the answer, but to get the why behind it.
Digging into the why, not just the what.
Right, and reading beyond the assigned homework. That's a huge one. If you only read what you're told to, you're just surviving.
But if you read one more article just because you found it interesting.
That's thriving. That's where the real education kicks in. It's just being interested in the world around you.
It's funny, we think of studying as just staring at a book. But this is saying studying is just paying attention with intent. Which leads to this other paradox the source brings up.
Oh, this is a big one. And it's probably the hardest hurdle for a lot of students.
It's the whole idea of not knowing.
Yeah. In school, not knowing is the enemy. It's what gets you a bad grade. It's embarrassing.
But for someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he loves it. He finds it exciting.
He does. The source has this great line. Not knowing is the starting point of discovery. I mean, think about it. If you already knew everything, there'd be nothing left to do.
The universe would be boring. For a scientist, being confused isn't a failure. It's a sign that says, hey, dig here.
But we have to be realistic. The source calls the boarding school a pressure cooker. It's a social environment.
For sure. There's so much pressure to always have the right answer, to not make mistakes.
Everyone's wearing a mask that says, oh yeah, I totally get this.
Even when they're completely lost.
Right. It's this defensive posture. We're trying to protect ourselves from looking dumb. But the source argues that admitting you don't know something is actually a power move.
A power move. How so?
Because real learning only happens after you admit that. You can't learn what you think you already know. You have to ask for help, admit you're confused, try again.
You're literally blocking your own progress if you pretend.
Precisely. You freeze yourself. The source gives us this amazing phrase to use, and it's so simple. Instead of, I don't understand.
You say, I don't understand yet.
That one little word, yet.
It changes everything.
It reframes the whole situation. I don't understand feels like a dead end, a statement about your ability. But I don't understand yet. That's a path forward.
It implies that understanding is coming. You're just in the middle of the process.
Exactly. It turns a weakness into the start of growth.
And this connects so well to the environment itself. The source talks about the boarding house as a learning village.
Which, sounds a little quaint.
A little bit. But the idea behind it is actually a huge strategic advantage.
It's totally unique. In a day school, learning stops at 3 o'clock. You go home, you disconnect. But in boarding, you live inside the learning community.
The learning spills over the classroom door.
It happens during prep, homework time, when kids are helping each other. It happens at dinner. It happens when older students help the younger ones.
Like a constant osmosis of ideas.
And that's all about the culture. A healthy boarding culture, the source says, isn't about everyone getting A's. It's a place where it's normal to try.
And safe to ask questions.
And where effort is respected. That's a big one. We've all seen those places where it's cool not to care.
Yeah, where trying hard makes you a target. That's so toxic.
It is. But if the culture is, hey, we're all in this together, it makes it okay to be vulnerable. That's how you build real academic confidence.
It's not you alone against a textbook. It's you and your friends figuring it out.
Which brings us to another part of this cosmic perspective. We've talked about curiosity. We've talked about community.
Now the mental health part. The wonder factor.
Yes. Back to Tyson and the stars. The source makes the point that remembering you're part of something enormous.
The universe. And you might be thinking, great, the universe is big. How does that help with my math homework?
Circles. Exactly. The universe is expanding, but I still have to conjugate these French verbs.
It can feel like a bit of a disconnect.
But the psychological effect of wonder is that it actually reduces stress. It builds perspective. When you really think about the scale of the cosmos, your everyday problems, they start to feel more manageable.
They shrink. It's hard to spiral about a bad grade when you remember you're on a tiny rock flying through infinite space.
It's a reality check. It forces you to zoom out. And the source translates this into a really reassuring message for students. It basically says, your future is full of possibility.
You're still discovering who you are.
You don't need to have it all figured out right now.
And that is such a relief to hear when you're a teenager and the whole world is telling you to pick a career, pick a major, build your resume.
This philosophy just says, hey, relax. It's an exploration, not a race.
That phrase is the perfect antidote to burnout. A race has winners and losers.
And a finish line. An exploration just has discovery. You can't lose an exploration.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate. Someone's listening and thinking, that's nice poetry, but some people are just born smart. Tyson's a genius. I'm bad at algebra.
The myth of fixed intelligence. The source goes right at this.
And it is one of the most damaging ideas in education.
For sure. I'm just not a math person. I'm not a writer. The source says that's nonsense. Being smart is not a fixed trait like your eye color. It's a process.
So what's the formula then? If it's not fixed, how do you get smarter?
It's the same things we've been talking about. Improvement comes from really specific actions. Effort, practice, asking questions, and trying again.
It's almost mechanical.
It is. And the source lays out this virtuous cycle, which is so helpful. It starts with curiosity.
Okay, so curiosity creates progress. Because you're interested, you engage more, you get better.
Then that progress creates confidence. You see it's working.
And then the confidence creates motivation.
And the motivation feeds your curiosity, and the wheel just keeps on spinning.
But notice where it starts. It doesn't start with being smart or even with confidence.
That's the secret. Most people think they need to feel confident before they try something.
I'll raise my hand when I'm sure of the answer.
But the cycle says the opposite. Confidence is the reward you get after you start with curiosity and effort. You have to jump in while you're still uncertain.
Which brings it all back to the community, the learning village. When a whole boarding house adopts this mindset, the vibe changes.
It does. It's no longer a competition of who's the smartest. Prep time becomes purposeful. It's growth time. Academic pressure becomes shared, not isolating.
And comparison is replaced by growth. Instead of looking at your roommate and thinking, why are they better than me, you think,
how can we both get better at this? It's a huge shift, and that's why the Tyson example works. The universe doesn't compare stars. It just has room for all of them.
So after all this, what's the What's the big takeaway here?
I think it's about permission. The source gives students permission to stop performing and just start learning. It's saying you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be interested.
And you don't have to do it by yourself.
Not at all. You're in this unique place designed for shared discovery. Use it. Don't hide from it.
It's so funny. When you think of boarding school, you think of constraints. Walls, gates, rules.
Right.
But this flips it. It says the mind of a boarder should be as boundless as the cosmos.
It's the ultimate paradox. You're in a structured place so your mind can practice the ultimate freedom, which is just asking why.
So, last thing. If I'm a student listening right now, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed with work, what's the one thing I do differently tonight?
I would say, just pause. Take one breath. And instead of seeing that pile of work as a threat, pick one thing from it. Just one. And ask yourself, what is actually kind of cool about this?
Find the wonder.
Find the wonder, even a tiny piece of it. Trigger that want-to-know circuit. Move from obligation to curiosity.
And don't be afraid to say, I don't get it yet.
Never. That's the badge of honor for a real learner. It means you're at your edge.
I love that.
Yeah.
So Neil deGrasse Tyson teaches us that learning isn't about proving how smart you are. It's about discovering how much there is to understand.
And that the hunt for knowledge never, ever ends. And that's a very good thing.
So here's our final thought for you, the listener. We've established that this boarding environment is the perfect place to learn alongside other people. So think about this. What is the one question you have been too afraid to ask?
That's the one.
The one you were afraid would make you look like you didn't know the answer. Is it about history? Is it about a friendship? Identify that question, and then tomorrow, just ask it. It might be the start of your next great discovery. Thanks for diving in with us.
Keep looking up.